what the judge had to say. It was a scathing criticism of the Trump administration.
This was a shot across the bow of the Trump administration. It could get very personal. You know, when you talk about, when critics talk about the resilience of the American system, the checks and balances, trying to hold the executive branch, i.e. the president, in check, this is a textbook study of that. And in this case, the judge, which was a federal court, a U.S. district court in Southern California, basically said that the practices, what they called the reactive governance, the chaotic circumstances under which the Trump administration reacted to conditions of its own making, to circumstances of its own doing. So saying this was a policy created by and for Donald Trump and his administration. Basically belie, these were the words in the order, measured and ordered governance. And these are concepts that it says are central to the whole notion of due process enshrined in the U.S. Constitution. And these processes are, the judge basically went further, said, they hold especially so, particularly so when you're talking about the treatment of migrants and the treatment especially, if you want to go further, of asylum seekers and small children, where this is all the case here. So this judge, and we see echoes of it, although they're totally different decisions in what we heard yesterday in the Supreme Court, where the justices, although they are polarized, they're very ideologically divided and been appointed from different presidents, their tone in their decisions, even those, whether they were in the majority or dissenting opinion, indicated they were alarmed to a large degree by the actions of this administration. And what you have here, whether we're talking about the Supreme Court, the highest court in the land, or this injunction here today, it is an effort by a court on a federal level issuing a nationwide order, an injunction, in order to check what they see as an abusive and an anti-constitutional practice. Remember, they're interpreting the Constitution here. Anti-constitutional practices of this administration. Obviously, the lower courts don't interpret the Constitution, but they are accusing, essentially, in this order, Donald Trump's policies of going against the grain of all of the concepts of due process and equal protection in the U.S. Constitution.
So this injunction is in place. That's a very clear move from the US federal court. The question now, Doug, is how seriously is Trump likely to take this injunction?
You know, Donald Trump, but through his statements since his campaign onwards, has made it very clear. I don't get a sense that he really understands the intricacies of how the judicial branch of government actually works, the checks and balances, whether he's actually beefed up on the fact the executive, judicial, and legislative branches all are supposed to work and check each other, and that is a normal part of the American process. He has tended to personalize it very much, rather than seeing it as part of an American system of governance that has been in place for over 200 years since the founding of the country. He's turned it into judges are his personal enemies. They're his personal opponents. They're out to get him. He's made it about himself. My sense here with this judge, as with other judges in the past, with the travel ban lower court travel ban decisions, which have now been overturned essentially by the Supreme Court, he sees these as nothing less than probably Democratic in most instances, troublemakers out to undermine his presidency, out to get him. He doesn't see these as impartial justices trying to do a very hard job of legal interpretation and trying to check the government and to review its policies. What can the Trump administration do now? Well, it never thought. The government argued this injunction was unnecessary now. It shouldn't have even been this suit should have been dropped because of his executive order. The court obviously disagreed with that. He can now appeal. The Trump administration probably will appeal, if I had to make the call, to the U.S. District Court, Circuit Court of Ninth Appeals Court, I believe it is. But yeah, he will appeal, and we've seen it before. But I think that the overarching thing to bring away from this is there's a contempt for the judges and the judicial decision-making, especially decisions that go against him within this administration and from Donald Trump especially.
All right, Doug, our international affairs commentator, thank you.